no una oligarquía con fachada de democracia. Democracia verdadera. Poder del pueblo.
These past couple months, there's been a dread that I've tried to ignore. One that I've consistently wished wasn't real. I wish that this country was kinder, that the systems in place have been designed to help every person and not just the elite few. And I'm unable to continue with any artistic hopes and ventures or projects without saying something because I am Mexican. As small of an audience I have, as you know, as I'm trying to build this thing and continue to make silly little YouTube videos and talk about film and the things that I love, I can't ignore what's happening. I can't just dismiss it and act like nothing is happening. And I am a Mexican. I am a Mexican before I am anything else. And I've never felt more frustration and anger with the current situation. Uh, it's always been an issue. It's always been a fucking stupid issue. And the cruelty that has been enacted on my people and our Hispanic brothers and sisters is despicable. It's disgusting. And this cruelty isn't just affecting Hispanic people, it's affecting the native indigenous people of America through racially profiling them and putting them in jail because they're under suspicion of being immigrants, of being Hispanic. And that in itself is fucking insane. It's completely ridiculous. It upsets me. It's frustrating. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be this massive issue. And our people are being made afraid because they look a certain way, because they act a certain way, because they listen to Spanish music, whether they speak Spanish, whether they look Spanish or Mexican or Hispanic, or their skin is darker than others. This is something that has been going on for the entirety of the history of this nation. And we are reaching a certain point where these solutions are just becoming more and more violent, more and more horrendous and disgusting and despicable. And this has not been the only attempt at this. This has happened before. During the Great Depression, more than 2 million Mexicans, whether they were citizens or not, were forcibly displaced and deported because they were under suspicion, whether they looked Mexican, whether they sounded Mexican, whether they played Mexican music, whether they spoke Spanish. Our families were ripped apart. People were dehumanized under a democratic institution, and it continued under a Republican one, whether it was Obama who began these conversation, this narrative against immigrants, and continued under Joe Biden and now worsened under Trump. We have been failed by the institutions. We have been targeted. We have been displaced. And our dehumanization has continued. We have been used as pawns in the election games. We have been blamed for their losses and ignored for their wins. And Democrats and Republicans have continued to call us illegal human beings. They have continued to call us criminals. They have continued to call us rapists. They have continued to label us as anything but human beings with families. And we are more than our fucking labor. We are more than the taxes that we pay, that we do not benefit from. And this narrative, this bullshit excuse, this way that people have continued to use us and our names and our people and our families, it's disgusting. My heart hurts for my people. My people who have come to this country, who have lived on these lands since before the Spaniards were here, and who have only come here to give their families a better chance, to give their children and their children's children a better life, better opportunities, to be able to live a dream that they never could. And yet we are illegal. We are alien. We are unknown. And because of that, they hate us. because we do not fit their standard of whiteness. Because of that, they deem us as inhuman. And as fearful and anxious as I am far more angry than anything else. Now more than ever, we need to rely on one another to keep our families and our communities safe. They will continue these practices. They will continue to try to keep us afraid, to keep us silent, to not be seen or heard. They will continue to do these things to not allow us to live. But we cannot let that happen. We have to keep living. We have to find joy where we can with our families, with our friends, with our hopes and dreams and our art. And we have to keep creating our art. We have to keep telling our stories. Our voices need to be heard. Your voice needs to be heard. It needs to live on. You need to keep creating. And with our art, it creates an impact that hopefully inspires and encourages future generations to be able to tell their own stories, to create their own art that focus on our experiences, that maybe doesn't have to do completely with the Mexican American experience, but just anything that we create is inherently Mexican, and that's beautiful. And my hope moving forward with the stories that I do tell, with the projects that I focus on, with the things that I create, is to focus on that Mexican American experience, to focus on our beauty, to focus on our love, to focus on the things that we can do better, the things that we can improve upon. Because I love my people. We are beautiful. We are strong and we are full of so much love. And that's what's going to keep us safe and connected because we cannot dare fall into despair. So do what you can. Live your life. Live your beautiful existence. Tell your stories. Create your art. Ensure you have plans to keep you and your family safe and help one another. Buy the groceries instead of letting your parents do it. Pick up your siblings from school instead. Educate yourself on your rights and ensure your family knows them as well. And I will also be providing links in the description or in the link in the bio wherever you're watching this to hopefully better provide some more knowledge and resources in case of the worst. And I'd like to address to my fellow Mexican Americans who are comfortable and proudly uh, advocate for conservatives, to those who are comfortable being anti-black, to being racist, to being Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, to being anti-LGBT. I'm not gonna sit here and lecture you about how you could do better, how you should be better, about this or that, because you know it. Deep down, you do know. Because I'm sure you have families who are suffering because of this. You have friends who are suffering from police brutality, who have been suffering from racially being targeted. You have friends who have people in Palestine who are undergoing a genocide and you've remained silent or even cheered it on. You know these things. And I'm just another voice, another person talking to a camera. I hope that you can grow. I hope that you can correct your mistakes, that you live the rest of your life righting your wrongs. Because deep down, I also believe that every person should have the opportunity to be better. Because I know I haven't been. I know I've held anti Mexican sentiment in myself growing up. And that's the thing that I'm deeply shameful and regretful of. Because I love my people. I've only just begun to explore and cultivate a positive relationship with our culture, with our music, with our food, with our blood, with our heritage, with our ancestry. We have such a beautiful, rich history. But as much as you advocate for deportation, for labeling people as thugs, as illegals, as this or that, you're never going to be part of the club. You're never going to be white enough for them. And I've tried to make sense of so much through my writing, through my films, through trying to explore these themes, to try to tell stories that are Mexican. Um, and then the stories that I hope to tell in the future. But, you know, I I used to hate being Mexican. I used to hate the color of my skin. I used to hate the way my facial hair forms, the way my hair becomes long. I used to hate some of the clothes that made me look Mexican. I used to hate the music. I hated myself for so long, and that spread to other people. That spread to causing pain for others. And it's a shameful regret. And hopefully I have been trying to contribute more, to contribute to better, to a better future, so that my siblings and my nieces and or nephews don't grow up feeling the same way that I did, so that my friends' children's or my cousins' children's don't suffer that same fate. They deserve to love themselves. And I'll do what I can in my part to push towards that future, towards a kinder one, towards a better one, a more loving one. And as small of an audience and shit, I want to try to do more, and I'm going to do more. And it doesn't just mean fighting for the next 4 years against this current administration and waiting for a democratic president and suddenly everything's gonna be okay. It's a lifelong battle. It's a marathon. You do what you can in this life so that future generations have an easier battle to fight, so that we are able to improve these conditions, these systems that have been designed to keep us down, to keep us fighting each other, to keep us hating one another. Because it's not the fault of the trans people that the eggs are so expensive. It's not the fault of immigrants. Our hate should not be focused on each other, it should be focused on the systems. And so I hope that we all can try to be better, to contribute to protests, to community organizing, to participating in these things and these events, to create a community, to cultivate a relationship with each other that is dependent, because we need one another. Whether it's fighting against police brutality and racial profiling of African Americans in this country, whether it's fighting against the apartheid in Israel and Palestine, and fighting against the injustice that the Palestinian people have faced for multiple decades before we were born, whether it's fighting against the homophobic, the transphobic sentiment and legislation that is being passed around the country. We need solidarity more now than ever. We need to find ways to support one another, because not a single one of us is alone. Not a single one of us is unimportant. You matter. Your story matters. So whether you're an artist or you're just trying to provide for your family, do your part where you can. Learn and educate yourself as best as you can and fight against some of these racist and bigoted beliefs and sentiments that your coworkers may have, that your friends may have, that your families may have. We all have our part to play, and I hope you do yours as much as I'll try to do mine, whether it's the films that I aspire to make or the projects that I post here on YouTube or on social media. I hope that we can learn from one another. And please stay safe. Ensure you know your rights, and everything, knowledge and websites for some of that will be in the link in the description or in my bio where you're watching, wherever you're watching. Mi nombre es Sergio Javier Valverde. I'm a Mexican filmmaker, and this is Pink Eye Pictures. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.